You finally have a free evening. No meetings, no deadlines, nothing you have to do. And instead of feeling relieved, you feel restless, maybe even a little anxious. The moment you stop moving, your mind starts looking for noise. So you check your phone. You find something to organize. You start thinking about tomorrow. And before you know it, the night is gone and you're more tired than when you started. Most people would call that a bad habit or poor discipline, maybe even laziness. But what if none of that is true? What if your brain has been running a hidden program in the background, one you didn't install and don't know how to turn off? There's a psychological reason this keeps happening, and it goes deeper than most people ever realize. You sit down to rest, really rest, and your body sinks into the chair, but your mind doesn't follow. Within minutes, it starts scanning for loose ends. That email you didn't send, the task you have finished, the quiet guilt whispering that you could be doing something useful right now. It's not that you don't want to slow down. You do, more than you admit. But slowing down feels wrong in your chest, like you're forgetting something. Like if you stop paying attention, something fragile might fall apart. So you stay busy. Not because you love being busy, but because stillness feels unsafe in a way you can't explain. You're not lazy. You're not broken. There's a logic behind this pattern, and once you see it, everything starts to click. Most advice about productivity misses the point entirely. It assumes you're stuck because you lack discipline, or motivation, or the perfect routine. So it tells you to push harder, optimize better, rest more efficiently. But that's not what's happening here. What's actually happening is quieter and more intelligent. At some point, your nervous system learned that slowing down wasn't safe, that rest meant vulnerability, that the moment you relaxed your guard, something went wrong. So it kept you moving, kept you alert, kept you on. And that wasn't weakness, it was adaptation. It protected you when you needed protection. The problem is, the danger changed. The system didn't. What's running your exhaustion now isn't a character flaw. It's a survival response that outlived its original purpose. Your nervous system operates in two primary modes. One is built for threat. The other is built for recovery. In threat mode, what researchers call the sympathetic state, your body prepares to act. Heart rate rises, senses sharpen, thoughts speed up. It's an elegant system designed to keep you alive in moments of danger. The other mode, the parasympathetic state, is where repair happens, where your body restores itself, where your brain processes emotion, integrates memory, and actually recovers. Here's where things get complicated. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a deadline and a predator. To your brain, ongoing pressure, even subtle, everyday stress, registers as threat. And when that activation lasts long enough, the system adapts. It stops being temporary. It becomes the default. Rest no longer feels restorative. It feels exposed, like a gap in your defenses. Researchers call this hypervigilance. And in high-functioning people, it rarely looks like panic. It looks like focus, like drive, like someone who just can't switch off. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it learned to do. Most people stop at biology. They hear nervous system and think, okay, I'm just stressed. I need to meditate more, take a break, sleep better. But here's what almost nobody names. The exhaustion isn't just physical. It's the cost of constant monitoring. In survival mode, your brain runs a background process all day, scanning for problems, anticipating failure, rehearsing conversations, preparing for things that haven't even happened yet. That labor is invisible. It never shows up on your to-do list, but it drains the same energy you need for focus, creativity, and real connection. Now, notice this. The monitoring gets louder when things are going well because your brain doesn't trust calm. It treats silence as the moment before something breaks. That's why high achievers often feel most anxious right after a win. And here's the shift. This pattern isn't just in your thoughts, it's in your body, in your shoulders that never fully drop, in the breath you don't finish, in the quiet guilt that shows up when you try to do nothing. Your nervous system learned that output equals safety. So rest stopped feeling natural. It started feeling like something you have to earn. To be fair, this pattern isn't entirely destructive. The person who can't stop is often the person who gets things done, who shows up, who pushes through. There's real value in that. But there's a line, and it's subtle enough that most people cross it without noticing. It starts when rest becomes something you have to justify. It deepens when your identity becomes so tied to output that without a task, you don't quite know who you are. And it becomes a real problem when your body sends signals, fatigue, numbness, that hollow feeling after finishing something big, and your response is to work harder. That's not ambition anymore. That's a nervous system that never learned it was allowed to be still. If this hit close to home, hear this clearly. You're not weak. You're not lazy. You're not failing at rest. You're someone whose nervous system learned to survive by staying on. And for a long time, that strategy worked. It got you here. But you're also someone who's beginning to feel the cost. That moment of noticing isn't a breakdown. It's the first sign of awareness. And awareness is where real change starts. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to understand the part of you that learned to stay alert. You can't outwork a nervous system wired for survival, but you can teach it what safety feels like again. Understanding why this happens is only the first layer. The deeper question is this: why does slowing down feel physically unsafe? Not as a metaphor, in your body, in your nervous system. If this resonated, you might want to watch this one next. It's about why relaxing itself can trigger anxiety, and why that's more common in high-functioning people than anyone talks about.